Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? It is Wednesday night, 9 p.m., and it is the Mike and Mish show. What up, Mike?
Yo, what is up, people? We are back. We are back. Two
We are back.
exciting weeks of fights. Philly, back to Connecticut, Mohegan Sun, back in the basement. Back in the basement.
A lot of big things, dude. They put 17,000 plus in Philly, and then 1 week later they put 5,000 plus in the Mohegan Sun. They are really doing fucking big things, dude, and it's really awesome to be on the ride with them, for sure.
Yes, it has been insane. That Philly, I gotta tell you that Philly card was so crazy that being there and then and then coming back and then going to the other one. The other one was fun. We were like, "Oh, how was that card?" I was like, "It was really good," but I just couldn't help but still think about how crazy Philly was. It was so insane.
It was insane. And you know what? Philly was a hit, but on the Mohegan Sun card, I want to say not only was it a good card, it was a good thing for the business for as far as like some of the rosters, some of the divisions in the roster. Two new hard hitting heavyweights on the scene. Jorgen De Castro and Parker Porter both made their debut, which the
Yep.
heavyweight division, we need all the new blood that can get in. Both of those guys look really good in Mohegan Sun. And of course, local guy Brennan Ward, dispatched of James Dennis in 36 seconds with a nose busting left hand. It was good to see him make a nice debut as well. And I really liked Brennan's like post fight interview in the ring because people around here know Brennan. He's a kind of a crazy guy. He's a unique character that'll fuck your ass up. You know what I mean? He's a yeah, he's got a little bit of that Patrick Bateman American Psycho vibe to him. But my son used to box at his dad's gym and they're all good people over there. I did not expect Brennan to get on the mic after the fight and be so calm and so welcoming to like anything. He was just like, yeah, I'm not one to call people out, but I see Dave Mundell pointing at me over there. I'll fight you. I mean, that we'll do a good fight. That'll be
If they let me, he said.
if they let me, we'll do a good fight. I mean, like I was like, wow, he's like really, really in the zone right now. This is great.
Yeah, he was for sure, especially in his hometown, fighting on the second bare knuckle card ever. Man, the one thing that I hate about the fast finish like that, it's like I feel like I waited so long anticipating him fight, and like you said, he's a local guy, so we've known about him for a while, and yes, he fought in Bellator, but it's like I just wait for him to fight, and then boom, it's over.
It's over.
I'm like, damn it.
Yeah, it was too quick. So I hope that they give him. And I mean, you remember we talked to Sabah Hamasi down in Florida. I don't know if they go right into something like that, but like with Brennan Ward, I think that he's got enough of a skill set and enough power and a look to him and an attitude to him and enough of a following. He holds the Bellator record for most knockouts in welterweight. I think like 17. It's like he's like 17-9, 17 knockouts or something. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And he beat Sabah Hamasi in Bellator. We talked to Sabah down in Florida. He wants to fight. He had diverticulitis when they fought. Brennan said he'd give him the rematch. Maybe they go that route, but if the BKFC went like a route like this, like Brennan fights Sabah, and then he fights Mike Perry, I wouldn't be mad about that. Like if Brennan was to win that second fight against Sabah Hamasi, a 2-0 Brennan Ward against Mike Perry would be a very intriguing fight in the BKFC. And then winner of that one can go ahead and fight Dave Mundell, try to get a title. You know what I mean? Why not?
Let's see it. I'm ready for it, man. I'm ready.
I'm ready for it too. It's a good time to be a BKFC fan. They got a event this weekend in the UK, and then we're going to be talking to heavyweight. Our first guest of the evening will be a heavyweight fighting, making his second walk to the squared circle in Albuquerque. Mayor Mano Otero is going to be on the show in a minute, and then after him, we're going to talk to another local fighter who made that debut on Mohegan Sun's card. Parker Porter will be on here tonight. Let's go ahead and shout out our sponsors real quick and get on with the show. Let's go.
Heyo, Dynamic Life, sexual health, weight loss, and anti-aging. Retake control of your life by reaching optimal health. Visit www.livedynamic.com. It's the only online platform where you can become a patient in under 20 seconds. Also, check out their Instagram page at Live Dynamic. That's LIV Dynamic on Instagram.
Boom. And then head over to the Rasha. Guys, it is the official mindset, recovery, and performance partner of the BKFC, sponsor of fighters like Christine, Misfit Faria, Austin No Doubt, Trout, Elvin Brito, and many more. And they are a proud sponsor of the Mike and Mish show. Get over to at Rasha Elite on Instagram. Hit the little link in the bio. It'll bring you to their website. It's therasha.com, and get that championship mindset. Use that recovery tool, that dome. Get in that dome, Mike.
Get in the dome. I went in the dome. I loved it. Love getting in the domes. Love domes. Let's go. Hey, check it out. When we come back, we will be joined by Mano.
What's going on, Mano? How are you? And welcome to the show.
I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing great. Great.
Good to have you on here. I don't think we ever got you on the show. We got an interview with you after your fight at BKFC 59, but we never actually got you. Before and after, yeah. And we wanted to get you on here because I remember that performance. I remember the pop that the crowd had. I remember how popular you were down in that Albuquerque area, and you got the big win. Everybody was excited. Thanks for coming on here tonight. And how excited are you to be back in there, man?
Oh, I'm super excited. It's almost been a year since my debut, and I can't wait to let him fly here on the 28th. You know what I mean? The guy I'm fighting, he's not a trash can. He's not just some guy. He's got a lot of experience. Apparently, fought for the UFC and stuff. So it'll be a good one. I want the best. I don't want chumps.
I remember talking with you, and they did not give you a can for sure. Braxton Smith is a big, dangerous guy. I remember you said you want the best. After we talked to you at BKFC 59, I said, anybody got your eye? Any heavyweights out there interest you? And I didn't see this one coming. You were like, I want Lorenzo Hunt. I'm like, fuck, that's a nice call. That's a nice call out. You went straight for the top there. You didn't quite get Lorenzo, but you did get a big, dangerous dude in Braxton Smith. You saw him in his debut fight. I believe it was BKFC 69 in Atlanta. Dude throws at 100 miles per hour at every time he throws a freaking punch, right? What do you think about that?
I just got to keep my hands up and make him miss. Hopefully I catch him before he catches me, but either way, it'll be exciting.
Hell yeah. So you got a lot of things going on in your life, and Mike and I want to talk to you about that. It has been a year since you've been out, and we know that you live in Albuquerque, and it is a fight in town. So I'm sure you've been staying in the gym, you've been training this whole time, but you got a lot of other things going on, man. That your family's expanding. You got a very successful business. So let's start with that. With congratulations to you. We just saw,
yes,
we saw the you're having another child. You're getting your boy. That's exciting, right?
Yeah, very exciting. Man, God's blessed me, blessed my family. You know, they consider us geriatric because of my age and my wife's age. Having children this late in life, I just feel like God knows what He's doing, and it's His timing. You know, I had my first child 3 years ago, my Gianna Grace, and now I'm blessed to be able to have a boy. And You know, if this is all we get, then I'm truly blessed with a boy and a girl, and you know, just I'm super blessed to be able to pursue the career that I still choose to do, which is combat sports. And my family doesn't get it, people don't understand it, and I'm like, man, business just is not enough for me to feel satisfied in life.
It's funny that you say that you're geriatric. Remind the people how old you are.
I'm 37, going to be 38. You know, I guess I had retired for 7 years before my BKFC debut. I didn't realize I had 30 some pro fights. That was boxing and MMA included. The people researched my background prior to my debut for BKFC, and you know, I had a lot of wins and a lot of losses combined. And it's just because back when I was young, I didn't care. You know, they pulled me from the crowd in one of my fights against a really game 13-0, some guy, I don't know, he was from whatever country, but he was a big name dude. And that's when George St. Pierre and shit was training down here in Albuquerque. And man, this guy just looked like he was freaking jacked from head to toe. And I had fought the weekend before that a big name local guy, Dicky Chavez, God rest his soul. And man, I was the underdog on that card big time, and I ended up beating him in like a minute and a half in the first round. So yeah, I didn't take any damage, and I'm there to watch a pretty big card the next weekend. And my dad told me, he said, "Man, you got to be careful going to fights. You have a big um, X on you. Everybody wants a piece of you." And I was like, "Whatever, Dad. It's not true." So I'm there minding my own business, and sure enough, I'm in the crowd, and this dude walks up to me with the promoter Fresquez, and he called me out, and I was like, "Oh, I'm good. I didn't want to fight him, to tell you the truth. My business partner, my best friend, was with me, and that dude called me a bitch, and my buddy's like, "Oh fuck!" And he slapped this burger out of my hand and slapped the Coke out of my hand because I didn't have to cut weight anymore. I was indulging in some snacks, you know, and I I was signing a contract with one hand, getting my hands wrapped with another, and I took that fight, and I put a licking on that dude, and they gave him the decision. The crowd went crazy, started into like a riot and shit after they gave him the decision. He left on a stretcher, and they gave him the decision. So you know, I come from the Wild West when it came to the sports being new, like of MMA and shit. Like Donald Sanchez is my main training partner. He's a dog, man. He's been in the game forever. And we could talk about stories when, dude, we're in like bar bathrooms getting our hands wrapped. And these were professional cards back in the day. And they had game ass fighters. You know, you're talking world champion Muay Thai fighters and this and that. And, you know, it was cage fighting, but we never backed down, and we never, you know, shied from any kind of fighting. So I'm excited to be back in it, bro. Bare knuckle just feels comfortable. It's kill or be killed, and that's the way combat sports should be.
Absolutely. I was gonna say, Kyle, before you say what you're gonna say, is there's no doubt that Albuquerque is a fighting city. When we went there to pass out flyers the first time, we went all over the place. Usually you go places and they're like, "What's this? What is this? BKFC? It's boxing with no gloves, or what the hell is it?" We went to Albuquerque. We didn't have to tell people. They were telling us when we walked in the door. They were like, "Oh, BKFC, yeah, we know so and so." And it's like, holy shit, do we even need to walk around and let anybody know? This place is going to be packed.
Yeah, that's basically what I was going to say. The same thing. I feel like a lot of anybody that's like born and raised around that area are kind of cut from the same cloth. You guys, it seems like freaking the entire community are a bunch of fighters down there in Albuquerque. And I love the atmosphere.
Even the lady who owns a Breaking Bad house wants to fight people. I mean,
yeah, it's crazy. Our poor little state here. It's not a very populated state. It's a big state, and the little town I'm from here, we literally had a motto growing up, and I think it's still true. Even being a businessman, talk shit, get hit. I'll smack you in your fucking mouth if you're disrespectful. And people don't get that because the way the world is these days. But you know, when I grew up, dude, we scrapped, and that's all there was to it. You know, and once I was able to turn pro on accident at 18 was because I had literally just turned 18. I was so used to fighting every weekend. at a party, or some guy called me out because he heard I was a tough dude and blah, blah, blah. And I scrapped everywhere and at anyone, anytime. And I just turned 18, and there's this older guy at a party, and I didn't even hit him. I like threw a jab in his face. I picked him up and I slammed him on the ground, and his head hit the concrete the wrong way, and he went into like a really bad seizure.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Oh, fuck, I killed this dude. And I called my dad crying, oh, I blew it like you said. I killed somebody. I just turned 18. I'm going to prison forever. And luckily the guy came to, and I mean, he was pretty messed up, but I was
Jeez.
able to kind of give him some money and make that problem go away. But a week after that, this guy named Jim Burleson called me up, and he said, hey, this is Jim Burleson. And this is like when, I mean, the UFC was still kind of like getting their foot in the door and shit. And, Diego Sanchez was a big staple here in New Mexico, and he was on that Ultimate Fighter show. I'm 18, straight out of high school. And this guy called me and said, yeah, I'm a promoter for King of the Cage. And we heard that you're a local tough guy and we need to sell tickets. Would you want to fight on this card for money? And I remember I was like, well, what does that mean? And he's like, it's MMA. We grew up wrestling and playing sports around here. And I mean, just street fighting. And I
Yeah.
said, well, what does it pay? It pays $1,500 and commission on tickets. I was like, what? I won't go to jail to fight? He's like, well, this guy's, he's not that good. He's a 3-time Muay Thai world champion fighter. And I didn't even know what Muay Thai was. I didn't know the true art and the different deals with MMA, karate, kickboxing, and how it all coincided. But I fought this guy, and luckily he was just a stand-up guy. He kicked the shit out of me and struck the shit out of me on our feet. But I was able to pick him up and take him down, and he was in my world then. And I ended it in the first round KO.
Ground
with
and pound.
ground. Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, dude, it was pretty exciting. From there, I guess I was a pro, and I was just fighting pro guys all the time and never really linked up with a gym per se. But that's when I remember meeting Donald Sanchez, and he was training under Fit NHB at the time, and they're a big gym here in Albuquerque. They've had some UFC guys and some big guys come out of there, and he was my buddy and stuff. But getting back into it, the BKFC, I went to this prospect deal. They had like a tryout in Albuquerque, and with my business, I had been sponsoring some fighters, and I remember I was thinking, I was like, man, I sure would like to jump back into the sport. If I can find time in my day to train again, I would do it. But I'm just so busy. And then one day I was sitting there on the computer, just surfing like the internet, kind of being nosy on social media, and I saw that they were coming to Albuquerque, and I don't remember shit. Like if I have an engagement in 2 weeks, I don't usually remember them at all. And some reason, for some reason, it was like in 3 weeks on a Saturday, and sure enough, I woke up that Saturday and I was thinking about it, and I was like, man, I'm gonna go try out for that deal. Like, I just want to try out.
No
I
way.
literally knocked dust off my gym bag. My wife doesn't know me as a fighter. We've been married now, going on 6 years in March, and I still have my gym bag and stuff in the home.
And you had never been fighting the entire time you've been with your wife?
Not once, bro.
That's crazy.
I've got a couple street fights, but whatever. Like I said, we're from a rowdy town here, so you got to back your shit up. And no, I hadn't thrown like punches, worked combos on bags or anything. And I've had good coaches when I was active, but I showed up to this deal, and I think I impressed the coaches or whatever staff was there for BKFC enough to. There was a crowded room. It was in a boxing gym here local in Albuquerque. Yeah, I was hitting mitts, and I felt like I was putting good combinations together and doing it the right way, doing good bag work. And they kind of peeled off. I could tell the guys that were doing better than the other guys stuck us in a room, did like a shirtless interview,
Yeah.
and then made us spar live. And I sparred a guy named Cody East.
Yep.
And that was a fucking animal. I grew up with him. He's a year younger than me from this little town. So you talk about talk shit, get hit. This guy's like a 2-3 time state champion with this team I wrestled for. He played D end, I played D end. You know,
Oh wow.
we played football. We grew up together, so I was lucky to spar him for my first, you know, time coming back in, and he and I just work good together. He's always been, you know, a good training partner when I was active, and he's always been active. So we beat the shit out of each other in front of people that we needed to, and then some other guy, Juan something. He's kind of a punk. He's a big fucker. I hope I get to fight him too. But he was from Jackson's and thought he was the
Is
shit.
it Juan Adams?
Yeah, he's a fucking punk. So we smacked each other around a little bit, and he was trying to take advantage of the fact he could tell I was super out of shape. And you know, I held my grounds for the time I needed to in the ring. And BKFC called me 2 weeks later and was like, "Hey, you want to fight? You look good enough to fight. You want to fight?" And I was like, "Oh shit! I didn't even tell my wife about all this. Fuck." So that was in
Excuse me,
December.
babe.
Yeah. Next thing I
Jeez.
knew, I took a fight. I fought in March, won my debut, and I've been active since. I look at the pictures.
I was just
that
gonna
they
say to
used-
you, I was watching the video with you and your wife revealing that it's gonna be a boy, and you
Yeah.
seem like you're in much better shape right now than you were on your debut. Am I wrong?
No, dude, way better. I'm still walking around like 235, just way tighter muscle. You know, when I was really active, I was fighting at 170. And I'd walk around here between 210 and 220. I
Wow.
was younger though, and I could make that cut all the time, all the time. And I fought at 170, 185, light heavyweight and heavyweight. And I'm not a big heavyweight. I'm 5'10". You know, I started that journey that day I went to that prospect deal. I weighed in, I was 267 pounds, and I still saw the 170-pound kid. That's who I still saw. And I feel like, you know, I still move good for a heavyweight. I fucking pack a punch. I've always been told that. Even my mitt coaches now, and you know, my training partners, I gotta be careful when I'm sparring if they're a few weight classes under me. Just out of respect, you know, I don't want to fucking hurt my partners.
Right.
So you
Well,
know,
I wanna ask you about this because what I remember about your debut is just how like loved you were by the crowd that night. So you're obviously a staple like in that area. Everyone knows you. It seemed like everyone knew who you were.
yeah.
It could be
Uh,
from your fighting career, but also this company that you own could also be something that everybody loves about you too, right? Can we
yeah,
talk a little bit about Cowboy RX?
yeah. Cowboy X is a cannabis company. You know, my family owned a pharmacy since my grandfather's time. He was the first Hispanic pharmacist in the state of New Mexico to graduate with his pharmacy degree. My dad took over the pharmacy, and man, I'll tell you what, I just remember writing reports on my heroes, which was my grandpa. He was a Korean War veteran. I mean, dude, 28 medal recipient. He was a stud, bro. But he was also super educated, and I was not the smartest guy. I won't lie. Like I hated school, but man, I fucking admired my grandpa and my dad. My dad's also super educated. My grandpa was a politician. He was a fighter in the army. He was a boxer. You know, I mean, he was a Rakkasan. He paratrooped. He was a bad dude, and that's
Wow.
just who I wanted to be. And I wanted to take over that pharmacy and get my pharmacy license and degree and go to college and shit. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I started my college to pursue the pharmacy deal and keep the legacy going. And I'm in college one day, and I started getting paid to fight, you know, at 18. So you're talking like a year into college. Now this is my first year. Now I've had like 4 fights. I'm sitting in class one day, and I'm in hard classes. I was going to go to try to be a pharmacist, and this professor's talking, and it was like he was talking Japanese, and it was a science class. I was like, what the fuck is this guy saying? Looking around, everyone's taking notes, and I didn't even know where to begin. And I remember I stood up, and I was like, man, I got to fight this weekend for $1,200, losers. You know, not realizing that
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, 'cause
literally And
You're
so
going to college, spending all this money. All these other kids, you're sitting in class. You're like, I'm not interested in this. Really, you're at that
no,
time, you're making more money than these other guys are. So you're like, shit, I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna just do this fighting thing.
so
Here we go.
I walked out of class and I was like, oh, I'm never going back to school. This is crazy. So, long story short, I quit school. I started working for my dad at the pharmacy. I was a pharmacist tech for a while, for a long time. And I got to work in the back where the medicine was, and I would count prescriptions and stuff. And I saw this switch, and this is how I get into the business, how it became Cowboy RX, a cannabis company. I I saw the switch from ibuprofen 800s and very blue moon, a hydrocodone prescription, to this pandemic just overnight of oxycodone and Percocet.
Yep.
I was like, man, I fucking don't get it. Seeing people I loved growing up, friends, family, customers, I mean, coming in and pissing in their pants. They're so zonked out on narcotics.
Yeah.
And my dad couldn't say no. He would call the doctor and be like, hey, I got so and so here for 360 oxycodone 30. Yeah, that's a good prescription. And
It's like, fuck.
Wow.
this is insane. He was telling like, this is disgusting. And we'd fill the prescription for these people. And I fucking grew the deepest hate for narcotics, man. I hated them with a passion. I couldn't stand them. Like I said, my grandpa was my hero. He was also a farmer that had a couple hundred acres of alfalfa and different crops, and he taught me how to farm growing up. And we bucked hay our whole lives, farmed tomatoes and chilies and stuff. And I remember thinking like, man, I want to grow weed. I like to smoke a little bit back in the day too, but I didn't like to smoke if you grew it and gave it to me. I didn't trust you. You laced
Right.
it with PCP. I heard all these crazy stories. So my nephew Roel has cerebral palsy. I didn't want him to start to have to take narcotics to subsidize his pain. And next thing I knew, I started growing for fun cannabis when it was illegal. And next thing I knew, I was growing too much of it to give away. I mean, I met some pretty cool people along the way that were taking my product and bragging on it. Like, dude, I get it from California. This is super black market times. I'm just like, oh, fuck. Like, what did I do? I'm growing a bunch. Next thing I know, it turned me into an alcoholic, is what it did, because it was like free money. I'm a farmer that can get down farming, and I'm growing these plants, like not in the open, but not really hiding them. My grandpa would tell me, Mijo, you need to get those skunks under control. I can smell the skunks, because it would let off an aroma around the
Yeah.
fields that were around his property where I would have them. And oh shit, like,
Oh my God.
what am I
So
doing here? And I don't
when
know,
did it become illegal? When did it become legal in New Mexico?
2021. I mean, it was recreational for a long time before that. So hemp became legal, and hemp and THC are they're cousins. They look alike, they smell alike, they taste alike. The only difference is one of them has CBD and one of them has THC. They both carry a little bit of each other. THC has a little bit of CBD because the CBD actually activates the THC for the psychoactive effect of the high. Now, CBD has a tiny percentage of THC, which helps activate the CBD calming effect and so on and so forth. And I got to grow that legally, which we took a massive hit on. Me and my childhood best friend, David McAllister. Um, I like dragged him into this fucking mess with me. I felt so bad. I'm like, dude, let's just turn 30 of our acres of alfalfa into hemp. We're gonna be rich. And he was like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Dude, I grow good weed, bro. We're gonna fucking kill it." So we lost like 300,000. I mean, we lost so much money, it was ridiculous, and
Jeez.
we didn't grow a single pot plant. And I had been growing pot now on the black market scene for a couple of years, doing really good with it. But I thought, why risk this big old deal that we're doing legally for one pot plant? Fuck it, we don't need them. I didn't grow it, and that was medicine. I was giving it to people that I saw using it medicinally, cannabis.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted CBD medicinally. Nobody. Like, nobody wanted it. And by the time we were selling it, it was $5 a pound. I
Holy
could I
shit.
I just gave it. I'm like, here, you want 200 pounds? Take it. What's the fucking $1,000 for 200 pounds? It's like, it doesn't make me no money back. I got,
That's
I got
crazy.
14 workers I got to pay. That's not enough. That's going to pay for one guy for the whole, that's a kick in the dick. Just take it. So we took our licks. We lost our ass. The next year, a big company, I won't say any names, they had their medical license. They were the biggest company in the state at the time, convinced me and my partner to grow some of the hemp property, pure THC for them, and they'd give us a license. And at the time, we couldn't get one. It's called the Dirty 30 in New Mexico. 30 people owned a medical license, and man, they all became millionaires during the 10-year
Man,
run they had at it. Well, they had the licenses, so we grew a fucking killer crop for this guy. Lo and behold, what does he do? He stiffs us on payment.
ugh,
And luckily, my partner and I are resilient, brother. I mean, this guy, I've been friends with him since we're in T-ball. He's a stud in sports as well. He's a two-time, three-time state champion wrestler as well. He just won the world championship for roping. He's a team roper. He's the world champ. He's
wow.
a bad dude, bro. And I'm lucky to call him my brother and my best friend. And we stuck it out. We do some construction and some stuff too, and we dug our feet deep in the ground, and we started doing construction to buy, because now after that dude stiffed us, it just passed in the bill that recreational cannabis was coming. So we spent every penny we had, and we sold equipment, we sold tractors. He won the World Series that year, so he came up a buttload of money in Vegas winning the world. I sold off. I had jet skis and boats and shit I had paid for through the business before. I sold everything. My wife, I felt bad for her. I dragged her along, and we were we are lucky enough to start a business. We're like, what are we gonna call it? And out of respect for my grandpa and my family, and David McAllister, my partner's dad, is a veterinarian. He owns a very successful veterinarian clinic down here for animals. And Dave's a cowboy. He's the most cowboy dude I know. But I look at cannabis like it should be looked at as medicinal. Whether you're using it for recreational or not, it's medicinal. You're taking the edge off. You're using it for pain management. You're using it for an appetite. I've seen it used so much better than I've ever seen a narcotic used. You could try to abuse it, man. I do business with some guys in this industry that are just brilliant minds. And the whole time we're doing business, they're smoking a dab the whole time, and they don't miss a beat. They
Yeah.
don't miss a beat, and just picture a guy popping a pill, two, three during the meeting. They're gonna be drooling
Then
on
nodding out.
themselves. Yeah, and cannabis is just
Yep.
it's medicine to me. So we decided to name it our Cowboy RX. The RX is for the medicine behind it. I hope one day to bring to light the true benefits of it for athletes. Truthfully, for athletes, whether it be for pain, for a relaxation, for an upper, for a downer, however you want to use it medicinally, I would push cannabis on you 10 times more than I would Western medicine.
That's great. I mean, that's amazing. And I will tell you that, like, my mother-in-law was living with me when my wife's mom was dealing with cancer. She was going through chemo and all kinds of stuff. And she had no appetite. She couldn't sleep at night. Like, she was having a hard time sleeping. She would have a hard time eating. And we had a sponsor for this show a few years back that had pens. Like, they would send us pens, and I was just giving them to her, and she said that shit saved her throughout her cancer treatment. It was basically the weed that freaking helped her sleep at night, gave her an appetite to get food back in her belly. Like, it was a miracle for her, and it really helped her through it. So I think what you're doing is great, to be honest with you. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, unless people
Absolutely.
abuse the business. You know what I mean? As long as they're not abusing the business, the business is there for a good reason. Um, we so congratulations on your success with the business, and congratulations on the new child you got coming. And best of luck to you on February. What is it? February 28th?
Yes,
Here it
sir.
is right here, and you are
February
correct.
28th. Braxton Smith is a tough dude. You asked for the tough guys. You didn't want cans, and they gave you one, a former UFC fighter. And actually, he fought our second guest that we're going to be talking to. He fought Parker Porter in the UFC. So we're going to be talking to Parker in a minute. But best of luck to you, dude. You asked for a big name. You got a big name. Do you have anything else that you want to say to anybody that's going to be watching on the 28th, and any sponsors or anything? You go ahead, take a minute,
No.
shout them out, and we'll let you get out of here, dude.
Thanks, man. No, I don't really no sponsors. Just to tell you the truth, I'm not in this for fun. I truly am going to make a run at the belt. I saw Rothwell just win it. Good for him. I'm the runt of my family. I'm the runt. I have an older brother that's 6'3", 270 pounds. I have a little brother that's 6'4", 330 pounds. We scrap all the time. Rothwell doesn't scare me. There's nobody that scares me in the world, and I want that belt and the strap. So I hope I get more fights in 2025 than I did in 2024. I need fights. I want to stay as active as can be. I want the big names. I don't want to fight some butterball that's trying to make a name and not confident in himself. I want the best.
There you go. That's what they want to hear too. And if as long as you come out pretty much unscathed, you'll be active with the company, I'm sure. Just stay vocal. And we wish we could be there because we love going to fights in Albuquerque. But February 28th, best of luck to you. Mike, do you have anything else for Mayor Mano?
Hey, thank you so much for telling us your story. Love that. Good luck on the business. It looks awesome. Me and Kyle don't indulge because we're still in the military. So, we still got a few years before but maybe in like 10 years or something when we get out, and we could, and maybe a little bit, maybe not in 10 years. Let's hope it's less so we can just do this full time and travel and cover fighting. But yes, good luck on the business, and good luck on February 28th. There is an event this weekend, so don't forget about that. Everybody pay attention. But I'll remind you, February 28th, Otero versus Smith in Albuquerque. Probably one of the biggest fighting cities in the entire United States, maybe even in the world, to be honest with you. That city is insane. It's awesome, and people love fighting there. So we will be watching. Thank you so much for coming on. And everybody that's watching, stay tuned, because when we come back, we'll be joined by Parker Porter. Take it easy.
Thanks,
Thank
bud.
you guys. Thank you for your service in the military as well.
Thank you, sir. Take care.
Have a great night, man.
Have a great night, guys.
There he is. There he is. Hartford's own Parker Porter. What's going on, man? Welcome to the show.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Good.
We're doing great. We are on a 2-week BKFC bender, coming straight from Philly right into work, doing shows, and then back to Mohegan Sun to see your guys' event. It has been a whirlwind of a couple of weeks for the BKFC. But what I was saying to Mike when we started the show, this past weekend with you and Jorgen De Castro doing your thing on that card, we just talked to Mano Otero, and he's another heavyweight from Albuquerque. It's exciting to us to see the heavyweight division in the BKFC finally getting built up, because for the longest time it feels like there's like 4 or 5 guys. It really has felt that way. But now Big Ben Rothwell is the champ. He's a well-known name. He's bringing more eyes to the sport for the heavyweight division. And then you go out there on Saturday night and make it look a little, no offense to your opponent, you made it look a little easy Saturday night. You feel pretty good about your performance.
Yeah, I feel great about it. Performance. No takeaway from Chase. He's a stand-up guy, tough as nails. But I just I was in the zone on Saturday night, and everything came together perfectly, and I felt the best I've felt in years.
He's a big dude.
Yeah, he is.
When we went to the weigh-ins, because you're a big guy,
yeah,
and like you guys got up on the freaking stage, the weigh-ins, and you looked like a cruiserweight compared to him being a heavyweight. And the cruiserweight in the BKFC is 205, which is light heavyweight.
Yep.
So I'm like, Jesus, like Parker doesn't look too much like a heavyweight standing in front of this fucking dude.
I weighed in at 244 for that fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said that they burned you at the weigh-ins.
They said I was 264. I was like, oh, come on, man. I've lost a lot of freaking weight. You know, like, give me a little bit of credit.
Right?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
No,
Somebody's going to have to pay for that, I think.
Yeah.
So anyway, with that said, man, like, I mean, nobody hates the fact that they finish a fight quick, but you had been like training and you wanted to get back out there. You were excited for the fight. And then, you know, what was it? 36 seconds later, the fight's over, or however long it would it take? 36?
44.
44. It was pretty quick. I mean, like, I don't even know if he landed more than 2 or 3 shots on you.
He hit me with a good jab. It made my nose bleed, but my nose bleeds really easy. Everybody's made my nose bleed if we fought. So it doesn't take much for that, and it doesn't phase me. And then I noticed I had like a little scuff on my forehead, and I don't even remember where it came from or when he touched me, if he touched me, or if it was from an exchange when we were, you know, when I was going forward or not. But yeah, it was fun, man. I had a lot of good fun in there, and I'm really excited to keep going with this.
And you were in the Mohegan Sun, which is like right up the road for you. It's not literally up the road, but it's like an hour from Hartford.
Yeah. Compared to everybody else in every other state, it's up the road.
Right.
It's Rhode Island, of course.
It's an hour for you. It's a half an hour for me, and it's fucking 50 minutes for Mike. An hour for Mike. Like all 3 of us are like within an hour from Mohegan Sun. So I love going to fights there. I think the Mohegan Sun Arena is one of the best arenas in the country. Nice. Like of all the arenas that we go, like that arena is awesome. Like everything about it, the way it's built, it's almost built for combat sports. You agree with that?
Yeah, there's not a single bad seat in the whole house. You know, if you got even the nosebleeds, like that everybody was talking about, we were sitting up there. I was hanging out watching the rest of the fight after, you know, and I say nosebleeds, but they're great fight. They're great seats. You can see everything. If you want to actually watch the fights, there's not a bad seat in that whole house.
Mike and I had been to probably a dozen freaking Bellator events there. You know, Bellator made that like their hub for a while.
Yep.
And it was like almost every other weekend there was a freaking Bellator event down there. So we were always going down there. And a lot of the times they have vet ticks. So like me and Mike and like a dozen guys from our unit would just go on vet ticks, get free tickets, and just go see the Bellator fight. So awesome. It's a great place. Now, did you have a ton of family out there? I would imagine so, because I mean, you were so close. Did you have a ton of people down there?
I had so many people down there. I know I sold a bunch of tickets myself, and then, you know, other people from other areas in the New England area, because the New England mixed martial arts and combat sports scene it's a pretty close, tight community. Everybody knows everybody, especially if you're a heavyweight. You know, a lot of us have cross-trained with each other or we've fought each other. So it's a pretty small community in the sense that everybody knows each other, but it's also a very talented community. And that enabled me to have, even if I didn't sell them tickets directly myself, I had a ton of support in there that night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, man, it's really amazing watching fights in there, because like you said, every seat is like, it feels like you're right there. And like when you hear those shots, were you surprised about it, fighting bare knuckle, and actually the sound that it makes when you're hitting bare knuckles in an arena like that? I mean, how many times have you been able to just cold cock somebody in an arena that big with no gloves on?
That sound, yeah, no, I'll never forget that. You know, the sound that it makes, the way that it feels without a glove on, it's a whole new world for me, and I'm really excited to be in it.
Yeah, I can't imagine what it feels like, because just being next to the ring, I'm not hitting anybody, but it like reverberates through your like I could feel it in my chest when somebody gets hit. I'm like, oh my god, what the fuck? Everybody is like, oh, you can hear them. They react. It's almost like they don't cheer at first. They all go, oh, and then they start cheering, you know, like people can't believe it. It's crazy.
Ooh.
Yeah, you really it's people get stunned by it. A lot of people from our unit went because we only work 25 minutes away from that from the arena. So there was a lot of military there that night. And so at work this week, they're all talking about how crazy it is. And some of them are like, I've never been to a fight in my life, but I'm definitely going to go back. And I was like, yeah, this is it's a good sport to go see combat sports. Nothing against MMA. But the thing is if you're not into every aspect of MMA, you could get caught up in an event that may be pretty boring to you. If you're not into jiu-jitsu or wrestling, you're like,
side of things, it's a lot harder to follow along. Whereas the average person, if you don't need to know anything about boxing to know, or kickboxing to know that somebody beating the shit out of somebody else is winning.
Yeah. Yes, right. Exactly.
You want to know something funny? And I told him, and Mike knows what I'm about to say, I think. We had a female from our unit, and if she's watching, shame on her. I'm going to tell her, I'm going to say it again. She was at the after party at Tom's Watch Bar, and I'm like, wow, I didn't expect you to go to this. She doesn't seem like the type of girl that was going to go to something like this, right? So she came with a bunch of people from our unit, and I'm like, wow, you came to the fights. What'd you think? She was like, oh, it was good, but it seemed pretty fake to me.
Fake?
And I'm like, I'm like, fake? I'm like, what the fuck do you think you were watching? He goes, I'm not saying that it was like they were hitting each other fake. It just seemed very scripted. I was like, did you think you were watching like pro wrestling or something? I'm like, this is fucking the least fake sport you've ever seen in your entire, of all the sports.
Real as it can be.
Yeah, this is the least rigged, least fucking sport, least scripted sport you could ever watch. I have no idea what you think you were watching. She's like, I don't know. And then I go, have you ever been in a fight in your life? She goes, no. Well, then you don't know. Okay. So
I did not know this. I didn't know this.
Right. So
That's too funny.
I'm like, yeah, you know who I'm talking about? I'm talking about
Williams.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. So I'm like, that explains it. You've never punched anybody in the face, and you've never been punched in the face, so you have no idea.
Place in there.
Yeah,
the first guy fell and dislocated his arm in like 20 seconds. You think he wanted to do that on purpose? I highly doubt it.
And that happens. If you've ever seen a real street fight from somebody who doesn't actually train or take care of their body, like they throw a punch as hard as they can, especially if it's not with great technique. That's a lot of force, and if your shoulder's not ready to handle it, guess what?
Yeah. I guarantee he didn't want to do that on purpose.
Dude, she was
whatever amount of money he was making.
She was at the after party. So she's at the after party, right? Cito is walking around. His face is swollen out like this.
Oh, yeah.
Shady Grady's there. He's all cut up. He's fucking still got blood on his face. He looks like
his hair.
Andrew Strode, his hand looked like it got stung by 50 bees.
It looked like he was holding a bowling ball.
Jesus. Yeah. And I'm like, look around this place. You can't be saying this is fake. Don't say it too loud around these people. You know what I mean? Like, keep that to yourself. This is crazy. Anyways, I wanted to ask you, are you born and raised in Hartford? Where are you always been from Hartford?
I was literally born at Hartford Hospital, and I grew up in Southington.
Okay.
And I live in West Hartford now. So I've been in Central Connecticut my entire life. I'm actually at my gym right now in New Britain.
So are you at Heavy Hitters? Is that?
Sure.
Yeah. Do you guys want to hear a funny story about Connecticut? Like Hartford isn't the greatest area in the state, but New Haven has a nickname called Gun Waving New Haven. You know this, right? Yep. So I was driving to my kid's basketball game. I think everybody will get a kick out of this. Sunday morning after the event, my son had a game at 9 o'clock in the morning in New Haven.
Yeah.
So my wife and my kids stayed down in New Haven at a hotel so they could just get up and go to the basketball game. So I go to the event, I do the after party, I wake up in the morning and I'm driving down there. I stop at McDonald's to get an Egg McMuffin and a coffee, right? So I'm driving and I'm doing like 80, 85. I'm diming myself out for speeding, but I had to get to the game. And I'm behind this car and I'm using him as a pacer because he's cruising. So I'm cruising. And he goes around a car. He gets in the left lane. He passes a car. I follow him. He gets back in the right lane. He goes around another car. I go around the car. I get in the right lane. So I feel like we're just moving along at a nice 80, 85 pace and nothing's wrong. He goes to move over. I go to get behind him again. I figure he's passing another car. He rips over to the right lane. I pull up next to him. He's fucking screaming out at me out the window, right? He pulls a fucking gun up out of his middle console and he puts it on the fucking top of his steering wheel like this. And he's yelling at me out the window with the gun on the steering wheel and his hand pointing at me out the window like this, and his girlfriend screaming at him in the passenger seat. And you know what I did? I didn't know what else to do. I just showed him my Egg McMuffin. I was
like this.
I had it like this, and I'm looking over at him, and
do you want this from me?
Dude,
he's trying to steal this
he's
from me?
flipping. He's flipping the fuck out
right now.
Yeah,
I'm like him for the McMuffin.
I'm like this, and I just went like this with my Egg McMuffin, and then he fucking slows down, like he slammed on. I don't know. He went from doing 85 to like 40 in like no time. His girl must have been yelling, "You're gonna go to jail" or something like that. That had to be. So I made it to the game all right.
That's wild though. Like for what? Because you're following behind him, and he's like, were you tailgating? Right. I mean, what? Like,
no, I was not even on his ass either. I was like, you know how you find that guy on the highway and you use him as a pacer?
Yeah.
That's what I was doing. Like, he was like 2 or 3 cars ahead of me. And I'm like, this is sweet. I'm going to just fucking follow this guy all the way there.
And I'm just right wherever he's trailblazing.
No, they don't call it gun wave in New Haven for nothing. Because I was about 3 exits away from that. I was like almost there. And I'm like, fucking, it was the tale of the Egg McMuffin versus the fucking Glock.
Do you have any gun waving stories, Parker?
No, I don't. Oh. You know, I haven't been in any situations like that recently or ever. Now that I think about it, but that's a good one. You're not.
I wish it was. That was the very next morning after the Mohegan event on the way to the basketball game. I was
it's
like,
funny you were going to. I went to a basketball game for my kids. I went out into Litchfield.
Nice. So how old are your kids?
My twins are 11.
11. So my kid's 10.
4.
So my son is 10, and he's on the 4th grade travel basketball team. So
nice. Yeah, my kids are on the 5th and 6th grade team. They're in 6th grade this year. They'll be going to middle school next year. But they're on the team for their school too.
My son made the All-Stars for the state. I mean,
awesome.
Yeah, he's very excited about that. He's more concerned that if he's going to get an All-Star jersey or not.
That's all.
He was like,
stage, man.
Yeah,
that's good. Not worried about Egg McMuffins versus pistols.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that shit was
man.
great.
Imagine how bummed out you would have been if he strong armed you for that McMuffin.
Right? I was telling Mike the story. I think I told Mike the story today. I hadn't told him yet until today. Did I tell you that today?
You told me the story, yeah. About that.
I was like, Mike, you know what I should have done is just put the passenger side window down and threw the Egg McMuffin to him.
Slammed it off the window.
Just threw it out.
He may not have slowed down. My theory was that because his girlfriend was yelling at him, and Kyle's got some stickers on his car, like military stickers. Yeah. She may have seen those in that, you know what I mean? And then when he turns and looks at him and he's like, just like staring at him, she may have thought like, this guy might be a cop. Like he's got all these military stickers and stuff like, oh shit. Yeah. You might be in big trouble in a second. Oh man.
Yeah. Little did he know I was just hungry and wanted to get to my kids' basketball game.
That's it.
Anyways. Hey, so Saturday night, like I said, you did your thing. Jorgen De Castro did his thing. The BKFC's heavyweight division is blowing up. Let's get back to this. Did you talk to anybody in the BKFC since Saturday, or because the reason why I'm asking you is if you guys stay in touch and like stay vocal with them, they'll get you on some cards. And I don't think you took any damage. Your hands are pretty good, right? Like you got a scratch on your knuckle or something, right? That's about it.
Well, yeah, but I had that before. It happened from my dog's leash, actually. And it just
when told us about that,
it opened back up.
Right. So with that said, man, like the heavyweight division is growing quick. There are some really fucking hot prospects out there right now, and like a guy like Perdomo, have you looked into the division? Like, are you starting to know
I
any of the
just
guys?
really started looking at it this actually earlier today.
So-
I'm like trying to navigate the website because there's trying to figure out who's actually active on the roster and who's not. And
Yeah,
like,
that's tough.
a lot of names on there and stuff. When I first pulled it up, I was like, holy shit, there's a lot of fucking heavyweight. But,
So
looking at the actual, like trying to weed through that and see the actual active guys, I'm like, oh, there's actually not a ton of heavyweights.
what I would say would be a great fight for you, and I said his name a second ago, and the reason why I say him, he's like a 6-0. I think he's 6-0 now, but he really has not fought anybody of any kind of name value. You know what I mean? Like, he did fight Leo Bercier, who's a really tough guy, but Bercier is more of a fucking cruiserweight who took that fight on like a couple days notice.
Yeah,
he
that
lost.
was the other, I was looking at some of the weights and I was like, that's 205, 205, 204.
Right.
And I'm like, these guys are not actual heavyweights.
Yeah,
So
on the lighter end. Yeah, for
right.
sure.
So Perdomo has been like, he's a Cuban boxer who came into the BKFC, and he has just been knocking everybody out. But people are like, give this guy a title shot. Give this guy a title shot. I say, give this guy somebody who actually is a big time fighter. And like, I feel like you probably don't want to fight Cans, right? I would imagine like Parker Porter versus Perdomo fight would be fantastic. So like,
actually come out and be like, oh yeah, I would love to just fight soup cans for the rest of my life.
right. Yeah. Just it's free money.
Yeah.
No, man, it would be cool to see you fight somebody like that because of who you are and the name you have and the power you have. He needs somebody like you or anybody else in the division, I guess. Just stay active, man. Stay active and maybe throw your name in the mix for that $25 million tournament, dude.
That would be huge. I could it would literally change my life.
Right. And the way the structure of the tournament is going, from what Mike and I have been told, is first place gets 15 million, and then the other 10 million is like spread out beyond.
It's crazy
amongst the.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, you might want to check with the company about that one too. Throw your name in that mix.
Fucking jump into a $15 million cash prize easy. Like $1 million to change my life. 15 million, I'll do unholy things.
Kumite. You'll go to the Kumite and fucking
Japan.
Do everything until you get a warning or two.
Right.
Whatever it takes on this one. Yeah, that's crazy. The mixture with the weights is what makes me like, I'm like, I don't get it. I don't get it because I can't see, because before we're talking to you, we're talking to Ben Rothwell, all right? We're talking about fighting in a tournament where you might be fighting a guy that could be 175 pounds. I'm like, I don't know. He's like, there's no way. He's like, there's no fucking way in hell. He's like, no offense, those guys are tough at their weight, but I'll fucking kill those guys.
Right. Yeah, he's punching your head right off their shoulders.
I don't even know how that works.
That's what Ben actually was talking about. Perry. He was like, listen, dude, I love Mike Perry. I do. But I walk around 300 pounds and I cut to 275. If Mike Perry at 185 pounds fights me at 275, it's just the last time he ever fights. Yeah. It's over.
That's like total destruction. That's why there's weight classes, man.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
It's
100-pound difference.
Much respect to the guys that are smaller that are like, like you're doing a jiu-jitsu tournament, you go to the absolute division and you're only 150 pounds and you're going to go up against a 250-pound guy. Yeah, because you're not getting punched and kicked, you got a decent chance if you're talented. But once you start throwing punches, man, it's a totally different ballgame. That size makes a huge difference.
Wait a second. So you're telling me that there couldn't be like a Mike Tyson's punch out, Lil Mac winning the whole thing? You don't think Little Mac's going to come out there and he'll just dodge and just do a little jab? Yeah.
I'm gonna say highly unprobable.
Damn it.
Not probable.
I've always wanted to punch somebody and their pants falls, and then I punch them in their belly button and they get knocked out. That's the best,
King Hippo. Nice. That's fucking awesome.
That's the only time you're going to see that happen on Nintendo. Never going to happen in bare knuckle fighting shit. I just can't ever see it happen.
it doesn't happen in real life, man. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. What did you think about the production?
I thought it
Because
was
right, because you
yeah.
fought at Bellator and you fought at UFC. You've been with big organizations, and you see the production that they put on.
Yeah,
The
no,
UFC they don't hold back on production. It's a fucking nice
no,
show, right?
UFC's in a whole different level of production. They've got everything covered from fucking start to finish. They have entire teams, and like they're, a multi-million dollar company now too. They've been doing it for 30 years. And, we were talking a little bit backstage after my fight on Saturday about how, the BKFC is kind of at right now where the UFC was at in like 2004.
Mhm.
Where it's still kind of like in that booming stage, but it's still kind of in that infant stage as far as the growth and the production value and everything. But I thought they did a really, really, really good job. They were organized. Having you guys there doing the interviews and doing everything super professional. The weight checks, the photography, everything was, really not too far off from what the UFC is doing. So, I think you guys keep the company keeps going on the path that it's on, especially with all the big backers that are getting involved now. With their experience with things like that, they know the ins and outs of it all. I think it's going to take it to a whole new level in a pretty quick time.
Yeah, I agree. I think their trajectory is growing faster. Obviously, the UFC laid the groundwork for everybody. You know what I mean?
And they
So
didn't
like,
have social media either to
right.
use.
So
Like it's totally different now.
Right.
so
Totally
with
different.
with these guys like taking notes from the other big organizations, what they've done and what they've failed at over the last 30 years, and then being able to market the way they do on social media, it's a different ball game. I think they're gonna grow. They're already growing at like an astronomical rate. It's
Yeah.
who knows where they're gonna be 2 years from 3
It's
years from now.
like, well, even they got their start before the pandemic, and obviously everything took a major hit during the pandemic, from a sporting standpoint, especially. But the fact that they came back after and didn't just fizzle out like a lot of other promotions did, and not only came back but came back stronger and better and leveled up, and now they're getting bigger names like you said, Rothwell. You had the Alvarez versus Stevens card the weekend before mine. I mean, they're getting a lot of attention. They're grabbing a lot of people's eyes, and people are really getting into it, man. Because like you said, compared to MMA, it's just easier to follow. You don't have to be a connoisseur of the sport to fully understand what's going on. It's exciting. It's super action packed. It's quick pace. They're 2-minute rounds, and it's like you better get to work, or the round's going to go by real fast.
Yeah, the full night goes by too. Like, from 6 to 7, they took a little bit of a hit because they lost a fight on the prelims. And then the first fight, that guy fell in like, I think it was 24, 26 seconds. He fell and dislocated his arm.
It was like under 30 seconds with the shoulder.
Yeah. So then you go from having 3 fights to basically 1 fight in an hour. Right. And so the kind of the beginning 6 to 7 is like, it's a little bit of a lull. But as soon as 7 o'clock hit and they start that main card, fight after fight after fight after fight after fight, people just can't even, if you get up and get a drink, you might miss a knockout because people, once the other fighters are gone, they're taking a 2-minute maybe break, and then the fighter's coming down, and then the fight starts. You stand in line.
They got you they got you on standby, ready to go, and as soon as that, whether as the next fight is starting, you're in the back in the staging area waiting to go out. Just
yeah,
and like, all right, I got like it could
there was 4
seconds to 15 minutes before I get out here, and let's go.
After you fought, and then after the Castros fight, I think there was 4 fights left, and it was like 8:30 at night. I was like, Mike, we only got fucking 4 fights left, and it's like
we're out of here at 10, baby.
Like, we're gonna be out of here at 10 o'clock. This is fucking awesome. I love that.
I've been on there for like local promotion. Like I fought for reality fighting at Mohegan a couple of times. Dude, we're not getting out of the locker room for that last fight until 11 o'clock on most of those nights.
Yeah, it must
You
be
know,
a breath of fresh air for you guys, right?
a huge breath of fresh air for me. Like everybody always, when they first start getting into this kind of stuff, you're like, oh, I can't wait to be a main event. And then you get a couple of those and you're like, oh, I just want to fight and go home. Like, I just want to kick somebody's ass and be able to go eat some food, have a beer, talk to somebody, either, drink to celebrate or drink to drown my sorrows. But let's get this over with. Let's rock and roll.
Yeah. Yeah. Some people they'll be like, oh man, I'm starting off the prelims or I'm starting off the main card. I'm like, actually, once you fight, you're going to be out there enjoying the whole thing.
Right.
And those guys are still going to be sitting where you were just sitting for the next 4 hours, not eating, not drinking anything but water, just sitting in that room still.
Yeah.
You like that. They're not going to be out of that till like 11:30. It's crazy sometimes.
And you get all the nervous energy of like, all right, I'm going to go hit pads. All right, I'm going to cool down so I don't freaking, blow my load in the locker room, and I'm just like, it's that constant struggle. And it's actually more tricky with BKFC to make sure you're warmed up well enough, but not going too hard where you're going to gas yourself out, because it is a fast paced fight.
Yeah. It's so fast paced. As a matter of fact, that the 2 fastest knockouts in combat sports history reside in the BKFC with, Justin Watson and then Yuli Diaz, number 1 and number 2 fastest knockouts in the world.
What was it?
In that
4 seconds.
The Yuli's was 3 seconds, and then Justin Watson beat it with a 2.9 seconds.
Yeah,
that scratch line, starting on that 3-foot scratch line, is a fucking game changer, man.
I mean, in an MMA cage or in a regular boxing ring, you can barely get from one corner to the other corner in those 3 seconds. So it's just it's like plausible to happen.
Yeah, because most of the time people come in and they touch hands for it too. They come in, they touch hands real quick. There goes your 3-4 seconds.
Right.
Because then you reset and then you start sidestepping and now you're at 6-7. So almost never happens.
5 to 10 seconds before they actually even start fighting in the first round.
Yeah. Yep. It's crazy.
Fucking awesome.
It's so crazy.
Now, I want to ask you this, Parker. Last year, they were having tryouts in Connecticut, and Mike and I, they were like, they didn't do the best job. I will say this. They did not do a very good job, like promoting those tryouts. They didn't promote the event very well last year. They still sold like 4,000 tickets last year. But they leaned on us. So I had sent you, I don't know if you remember this, but I had sent you a Instagram DM saying, does Heavy Hitters have anybody interested in fighting for BKFC right now? And you said, no, not right now.
Not at the moment. Yeah.
Not at the moment.
Did that start?
That had happened. So my buddy Max actually went to the tryouts.
Oh, okay.
Lombardo. And he trains with me, but he's primarily out of TriTac, which is a gym that we do a lot of cross training with. He was just like, I want to go do this. I'm curious. I want to check it out. He's like, the tryouts were cool, but like you said yourself, like they didn't do a ton of promotional work about it beforehand. Now, I myself at the time was still, just kind of like figuring out like exactly what my path was going to be. And I always had the interest in it, but I wasn't sure, it's between working construction. I do general contracting during the day. So gotta, pay the bills still. Everybody needs to eat, make sure the mortgage is paid. But, between doing that and running classes at my gym in the evening, I was like, I just don't know if I have the time to train for something like that. And as things got more solidified and consistent with my schedule and the routine at the gym, I was like, all right, we can make this work, and I started getting back into actually like training as if it was a fight camp. Because that's one thing is I've always kept essentially the same training schedule, whether I'm in camp or not. I just bring the intensity down or up, depending on whether there's not. And I had actually gotten completely out of my regular routine. I wasn't lifting as much. I wasn't doing all this stuff at the time that you had sent me the message for the tryouts. So that wasn't even like a thought in my mind, like, oh, I could, get into BKFC and maybe even make a title run. And now I'm like, let's fucking go. Like I'm here.
That's nice.
I want to finish out, the almost 18 years of combat sports as a pro here with the BKFC, man. Like this is my niche now.
With a world title.
Yes, sir.
Or a $15 million paycheck.
Either one. If it came hand in hand, that'd be great, but I'll take either.
Right.
I'll take either
So
one.
so now that you're in there though, do you have more guys around you in the gym that are like showing interest?
Not so my gym is a lot of younger guys, and there are a
Oh,
lot of
okay.
guys. So we're just starting out, and because I have some high school age kids, I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, let's get you ready for bare knuckle boxing. They're like, nah, let's get you some experience. We just had one kid compete in the MDL, the Muay Thai Development League, and he did a phenomenal job. My little protege Darius, he's a 15-year-old kid training here. He's been working with me for probably like 4 or 5 months now. And he looks sharp as hell. So we would just want to get guys as much experience as possible before I'm like, all right, yeah, let's get you an actual amateur fight or get you an actual professional fight. I've got a lot of people being like, I want to do this, I want to do that. I'm like, let's prepare you. I'm not, it's my job as your coach. I'm essentially like your dad too. I'm not going to send my kids in to get butchered by somebody or
Right.
put them to work without the right tools. If you get beat by somebody who's just a better man that day, but we did everything we could to prepare you, then so be it. That's the nature of the beast. But I'm also not just going to throw you to the wolves.
Right. In this sport, to be honest with you, I feel like there are like there's the Kai Stewarts and the Romero Figueroa guys, those guys out there in the roster that are 22, 23, 20 years old. But for the most part, like I do feel like this is more cut out for the guys that have been in there for a minute and like are a little more grimy and have been through the grind. And you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. What's that?
The salty old dogs.
Right. I like,
Yeah.
Well, you
like
see
Ben,
more
Ben-
of them,
like
that's for
dude,
sure.
like Ben Rothwell I like Ben a lot. Ben's the man. He came on here. He was like, bro. He was like, dude, I look at this as an opportunity for a second career. He's like, this is not a fucking retirement plan for me. This is a second career. This is me retiring from one job and then starting a new one and making a really long run on this because I don't have to wrestle anymore. I don't have to do jiu-jitsu anymore. I don't have to kick. I don't have to worry about takedowns. All I got to do is fucking punch people in the face. And I can do that for a very long time.
Same.
Right?
Same. I'm feeling the exact same way, man. This is like an entirely new job, new career. I got so many less things to worry about, and I could really just finally focus on something I've always been naturally good at, but had to, not necessarily take away from or dumb down too much, but like you start moving your head and bobbing and weaving too much in an MMA fight or a kickboxing match, and you're going to catch a shin right across the face, or somebody's going to shoot and take you down and start working that ground and pound. And it doesn't matter how good your wrestling or jiu-jitsu is. Like if you get surprised and somebody gets on top of you and starts dropping bombs, it's a bad fucking day, man.
Yeah. So yeah, all right. So I mean, the way he described it is the perfect way to describe it, right? For a guy like yourself, like it's like me and Mike retiring from the army. I'm 43 years old. I could retire from the army right now. I've been in for 24 years, and like if I wanted to, I could retire. But I make a good career. I make a good living, and I be able. Me and my wife are both in the military, and we have a really nice life because of what the fucking military has given us. But it would be like me retiring from the military at 43 years old and then joining the police academy.
Right.
And like, I'm only 43. I could put in fucking 20 years as a cop. You know what I mean? It's just like that. And you guys are on to this fucking new rocket ship that is going north, and I can't wait to see where it goes. Can't wait to see where you go with it.
Santa's workshop.
Before we let you finish up here, is there anybody in the roster that you would like particularly want to fight, or do you just want to get back in there, when they offer you?
Like my entire career, I've never been one to call anybody out, but I'm also not one to usually shy away. So we'll see what they come back with, and we'll set it up and get ready to go. Like you said, I didn't really take any damage. My hands are good. I'm feeling healthy. They got a lot of cards lined up, and I would love to jump on one of them sooner than later.
They got that Philly card in March.
Yeah.
And Dustin Peg is headlining against Andrew Angelcore. That's the only fight that I have heard announced for that. I'm assuming Philadelphia is not too far for you to fucking run down there and take a fight in a month or a month and a half.
You live where I live, man. Like, it's not far at all.
Yeah,
Relatively short car ride. And I'm used to being in the car. I drive my kids, 1 hour each way to and from school. So, a couple extra hours in the car is no big deal for me.
5-hour drive.
Like it just gets shorter and shorter every time I have to drive there. Like we went to the Philly card to cover it, and I felt like that ride was like nothing.
Bye.
Them Philly fans are crazy too. Like the fans are just into it. There's so many people there that are into it, and I love it. Love it.
And that event, you know where that event is in March at the old. Do you remember ECW wrestling from the 90s?
Yeah,
ECW, the hardcore wrestling, where it used to be called the ECW Arena. Now it's called the 2300 Arena in Philly, but it was the home of ECW when like that hardcore wrestling thing was blowing up in the 90s.
Yeah,
that's where the event is.
Through a table with tacks on it. That was
like getting thrown through like a fire table and shit. Yeah, you know what I mean?
A little bit of barbed wire in there too.
Yep.
Yes, exactly. It's in that arena, so it's probably going to be fucking wild as hell in there. So hopefully you can get on a card soon. We can see you back in there and just keep doing your thing in the BKFC. It's good to have you in here. Before we let you go, do you want to say anything to anybody who's paying attention?
Anybody that's out there that supports me, I appreciate it. Like really, without your support, without you guys watching, without my fans, without the support of my family, my friends, my team, we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing. We certainly wouldn't be able to do it as well as we do it. So I just want to say thank you for all the support, all the love. And even if you don't have any love for me, thanks for watching anyways.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for coming on here. It was great to see you perform the other night, and hopefully you get one soon. Mike, you got anything else for Parker Porter?
No, I mean, what I have is thank you so much for fighting for BKFC now, because it's great to see more fighters from the New England area starting to fight for BKFC, because Kyle and I are from this area. Yes, we go to events outside the state, outside of New England all the time. Actually, just about every single one until Mohegan Sun for the last 2 events. But man, I feel like the more fighters that come and fight, then they can get into Boston. They'll probably have some Boston shows, stuff like that. And maybe they'll come to Connecticut. I mean to Hartford or something, but I'm not sure. With Rhode Island, forget it. I don't think they'll ever come to Rhode Island. I just don't know if there's, I don't know.
You want to talk about even closer to home. If they came to the XL Center in Hartford, literally 15 minutes from my house, man. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I love it. I think that you coming in and fighting will, spark a thought in somebody else's head around the area to try it out too. Because it's just like just like UFC was, like people from boxing, they didn't like MMA. MMA got big. Now BKFC is the next. Oh my God, don't do that. And then people are doing it, and they're like, actually, you should do that. You should do that.
You should absolutely do that.
So thank you so much for doing that.
I've got a personal perspective where like everybody's like, oh, violence. I'm like, you guys need to learn to be more comfortable with positive violence. Positive violence. In a productive, controlled manner. That's a good person. Like that's a good person. Like Jordan Peterson said, a good man's not a harmless man. A good man who's very dangerous but has that under control. And that's the more you do this kind of stuff, the more you learn about yourself, the more you learn you're not made out of glass and you're capable of doing things that you have to do if you need to do it, the more peaceful and calm you are.
There you go. Yeah. It's perfect. I just want to throw that comment up there. Big Ben Vanaski, who is a huge supporter of the BKFC, works for the BKFC, builds the rings and stuff. He says, Parker, you got a lot of new fans. Welcome to the company.
Thank you very much.
Ben actually hosts BKFC watch parties at Tito Ortiz's restaurant, Tito's Cantina down in Fort Myers, Florida. So
no shit.
Yeah, so Tito Ortiz is becoming a fan of this sport as well, and Big Ben hosts watch parties there. So you're getting
I got to stop in for a show.
Absolutely, man. Thanks so much for coming on here. And Mike, you got anything else for him?
That's it, man. Thank you so much for fighting, and we'll see you at the next one, and maybe we'll see you at Philly. I don't know. Maybe you'll be on that card. We'll see. We'll be keeping up, and you're welcome back anytime. So when you sign for another fight, we'll get you back on here and talk about it.
Go, guys. Let's go.
All right, man.
All right,
Thank you
brother.
so much.
Thanks.
Everybody else, stick around. We'll be right back.
Well, something we do at Grunt Style is we have a 4-toast salute. And there's no better way to start this evening off than toasting our boys and girls in the military today. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have a drink, put that up high. For those that serve, cheers. To those who support us while we serve, cheers. To those young bucks still serving today, going over to the Middle East right now. Cheers. And to those who never came home, we'll never forget you. Cheers. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the evening. We got the notorious MMA in the house. We got bare knuckle fighters. We got Grunt Style. We got free alcohol. No, I'm just kidding. But we got plenty of it. And we got a great band. So kick it up, kids.
Yes.
Here it is. And I always love the fact that he referred to Connor as his Instagram handle.
Yes.
The
I always
Notorious
think
MMA.
about, I do think about that. We're going to play because I've watched so many times. I can think about things like that besides like you just paying attention to the clip. But I noticed that too. And I do feel like people are like, who? Who is it?
The Notorious
Because if
MMA.
you said I have Conor McGregor here,
People would have lost
be
their
like,
mind.
Conor McGregor.
The people that were like
No.
25 people over from him
Yeah.
in the crowd that didn't know he was standing
Yeah,
right
they
there.
go,
If he would
Oh,
Notorious
Notorious
MMA.
Who's that? Who is that guy?
Hey man,
They're
before we
probably like,
wrap,
oh, there's they're having MMA here.
yeah. Hey, Mano Otero was awesome. And Parker
Yes.
Porter was awesome. That one, this was a good show. They were both really good conversations. I'm excited because they're both heavyweights. They're both heavy hitters, and that division is growing. And I hope that that Mano has a good fight against Braxton Smith. That's a tough night out for sure on February 28th. And then I hope Parker gets a fight soon. But besides that, Mike, something was announced today on the BKFC Instagram page. Did you see what it was?
Yes, I did see what it was. And looks like BKFC is going to a land
Down under.
down under. Yes, there it is.
You come from a land down under. Dude, I
Don't count it.
cannot wait till they announce more about this.
Yeah.
And I gotta tell you, dude, this could be one that I bring my family. This could be,
Australia, man. I've always wanted to go to Australia. That's a big
Amy's
one.
been there, you know. Amy went to Australia for like a school,
Crazy.
I don't remember what the fuck she went there for, but it was like a school trip. She went there for like a month or something like that and stay with some family out there. So that is awesome. That is another country, another big location for BKFC to go to. You know that Beck Rollins is going to be on there, but you know who's from New Zealand down there is Mark Hunt. They could throw a Ben Rothwell versus Mark Hunt on that card. And actually, look right there in the comment section. Will we get Big Ben versus Mark Hunt? That's the first fight that I thought of when they announced Australia. I was thinking Ben Rothwell, Mark Hunt in a heavyweight clash in Australia. And Beck Rollins is from Australia, and so is Ty Emery.
Yeah.
They could both be on those cards, maybe even fight each other. It's like my brain started fucking rolling real quick. Megan Anderson is out there in the free agent market. She's from fucking Australia. Jessica Rose Clark is from fucking Australia. Like Tai Tuivasa. There is a lot of Australian fighters that are no longer actively.
How many fights? There's Dan Hooker. I mean, he's from New Zealand, right? How
Dan
many
Hooker
fights
has
does he have on his contract?
I don't. He's got a fight coming up against
probably got
Justin
a few.
Gaethje, dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's got a fight against Gaethje coming up. So,
One
man,
day.
that's big news. And the other big news, I would say this is big news for the BKFC community. Nelson is moving on from the company.
Yeah.
We all love Nelson, and we've had a lot of great times and a lot of great success with Nelson Lopez, but we wish him the best of luck in his next endeavor because he's moving on to other things. And we know he's busy with his amateur series and like boxing. He manages boxers and he promotes boxing too. So I don't know what he's got going on. But and I know he did a podcast tonight, so maybe he said more about what he's planning on doing or whatever. But just want to say good luck to Nelson.
Yeah, Nelson, I mean, he loves the fighters, and he is like, I feel like his passion though always is boxing. It's just like his thing, always boxing. He loves boxers. Not that he doesn't love BKFC, but I just see the passion in boxing for him. I don't know if that, like, I assume he's going to keep doing fighting stuff. He was still posting about BKFC yesterday, which confused the hell out of me because he said, I'm not going to do BKFC. And then I see a bunch of BKFC posts and BKFC fighters he's talking to. So I'm like, what is going on? But I just, I know he did boxing before this, and I feel like he still has not too much passion, but more passion for boxing than he does for BKFC. I don't know. That's what I felt.
I think he really enjoys interviewing. Like I do. He was the last time we were in Miami. I don't think I had ever seen Nelson doing like person-to-person interviews at like weigh-in or anything like that. He started doing those, and then he started the podcast with Knuckletown, and he's been doing those pretty consistently every Wednesday night at 8:30. I believe they're at 8:30. It's either 8 or 8:30. Yeah, and I should know this because we're always preparing, and unfortunately, I don't get to see the show very much. And I should go back and watch them, but we're getting ready to do a show at 9:00 here, and they're on like while we're prepping for the show. So I know he had Brandon Myers tonight, and he had somebody else, but they were both BKFC people. So what I'm saying is like maybe he just wants to get more into like the media part of it and just fucking he's so passionate about combat sports. Maybe he just wants to talk about it. I don't know. We'll see what he does. I'm sure he's going to be successful in whatever he does, though. So, tomorrow night we have a guest at, we only have one guest book for tomorrow night. Maybe we'll pick somebody else up, but the guy we're going to have on has a really like big story to tell, I believe. And he fought this past Saturday at Mohegan Sun. Spencer Meehan. Yeah,
I think it's Meehan.
Spencer Meehan. He's like a, turn your life around success story. And we talked to him briefly Saturday night after he won, did an interview with him. But after we got done talking to him, we talked more after the camera was off. And then that's when Mike and I were like, we got to get you on the show, dude. We got to bring you on here. You got to tell our audience the shit that you're telling us because people need to hear that. So tomorrow night, Spencer Meehan's going to be on. In the comment section over here on Instagram earlier, we had Drew Angelcore said I'm back. So we're going to have to get him on the show pretty soon. And Dave Feldman Jr. just joined over there. Dave, come on the show.
I told Dave Jr., I said, listen, 2025, it's the year that we get Dave Feldman Jr. to come on the show. A tell-all. A tell-all from Dave Feldman Jr.
A tell-all.
Yeah, but I do think it would be a great episode to have him on. So, I think I'm winning him over. It's only taken 4.5 years, but I think in the 5th year,
you're winning him over
that time. It's gonna be finally time. Yeah, I think 5 years. And that'll be enough to get him on. So we'll see.
That's awesome. Hey, great show tonight, Mike. You know what I did right before about an hour or two before we got on the show tonight? Busted out the old snowblower because I believe we are going to get enough snow to actually fire that fucking machine up tomorrow. Yeah, it's looking like it. My kids got no school. Your kids got no school. It's looking like we're going to get a bunch of snow tomorrow. So
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it's just the sign of the times where
What do you
they
mean?
shut everything down for a brush of snow and a little ice.
Yeah, maybe you could be right. You could be right.
I
How was-
only saw 1 to 3 inches, so that's all I saw. And honestly, they were like, "Hey," they were saying they're going to cancel school like this morning for today. I was like, I'm looking online. I'm like, I just see a little bit of ice and snow turn into rain, but you guys can't get to fucking school. I don't understand this shit.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
I to be honest with you, I hope so, because I went and I buy this. I buy this house. And after it snowed the first time, I'm like, I can't shovel this driveway. It is not like, if you're a human being, you shouldn't be shoveling a driveway the size of my driveway. You just can't. You're gonna break your back. So, but
it's very
so I'm like, I
steep.
gotta
It's
buy a
long.
fucking-
It's very steep, and it's a long
It's long.
driveway, and
Yeah.
it's a steep incline.
So I'm like, I gotta buy a snowblower. So I buy a very nice snowblower, right? It's got fucking heated handles on that shit. It's got a light. It's fucking all
Haven't
these
used it
different-
once.
all these different speeds. Oh, does it have speeds? Yes, it does
Ooh.
have speeds.
Ooh, it got speeds.
Speeds, yeah. So here's the thing. I've used it, but it was like I used it like 3 times the first year, and then I used it 3 times second year, and then I used it like twice, once, and I haven't used it for like 2 years in a row. So this will be like the 3rd year straight that I'm not going to use it. And to be honest, I fixed it. Something broke on it, so I ordered the part over the summer. Fixed that shit.
And you've been waiting to use
Fucking-
that thing.
Can I use the damn thing already? What the hell, man? I can't even get my money's worth out of this shit.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Unbelievable.
I got a nice one too, and like this will be the first time I broke it out this year. So
Does
We'll
it have
see.
speeds?
So everybody that's in Florida right now saying 86 here, it's fucking hot here again. You know, like go.
I
fuck
like
it,
the snow.
snows.
I think you guys are losers for not getting snow. But every other day of the year when it's cold, it sucks.
Yeah. All right.
Snow
Hey,
is great.
before we leave, I'm going to give one more shout out to our sponsor, Dynamic Life, weight loss, sexual health, anti-aging. Get over to @LIV Dynamic on Instagram. Hit the little link in the bio. 20 seconds later, you can become a patient and get your health in check with Dynamic Life. And then get on over to the Rasha @Rasha Elite on Instagram. There's a link in the bio right there that'll bring you to therasha.com, the official championship mindset recovery tool of the BKFC and the Mike and Mish show. So thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Tune in tomorrow night when we talk to Spencer Meehan. And Mike, do you got anything else for the people?
Nope. I got one thing left to say, and that, my friends, is peace.
Peace.